Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 19th of November. So, just looking at today's economic data that's due out. Well, we've seen the Australian data already out. The employment data numbers, unemployment rate fell from 7.1 to 7%. And actual employment change increased by 178,000, which is much better than the minus 26 expected. Aside of that, today then we've got Canadian ADP non-farm employment change, which generally moves the market very little, but we'll see. It might pick up at 1:30. We've got Lagarde speaking, ECB President Lagarde speaking at 3 o'clock. So it really is a quiet old day. In fact, even Lagarde's meeting is event hosted by the Women's Forum. Audience questions expected. These type of meetings will. There's nothing specific about the economics, so I don't think this is actually going to create any volatility around that either. It's just that she's speaking. Okay, so euro dollar and pound dollar. Now they look like they've had half decent days, although both, well, you're looking at the daily here of the euro, it's pushed up and pulled back a tad, and looking at the daily of the pound, similar sort of action. It ended up positive yesterday into a double top, but sold off since. Now both these markets, they seem to be doing okay, but they're both, the pound and the euro, are doing okay against the US dollar, which is being absolutely hammered. But when you start looking at some of the pairings against the other majors, and particularly if you look at the euro yen here, and you'll see euro yen's been coming off, euro's been coming off, euro's soft here. If you look at the pound yen, same principle here. If I can find it quickly, there we go. Pound yen, again, the pound's been coming off, so we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking these two European currencies are strong beyond the fact that the US dollar is weak. So there we are. I just thought I'd share that with you because it's you can look across these individual majors and think, well, that's doing okay. It's not doing that well. Anyway, here we go. Let's look at the market today, then the euro dollar first. And well, another weak day in the end yesterday for the euro, selling off back to its monthly pivot, weekly pivot here, and catching yet another bounce. Is it going to go much further? Well, it does have the daily pivot above, and I'm looking at this price action. Yesterday I was looking and waiting to see if we would get a buy sort of opportunity. It just never materialized what we were looking for. It did pitch up a little bit later and then sold straight back off again, and it just looked very fickle with the lower time frames. So we left that alone. It did eventually roll over here. Are we going to see this? I'm just looking whether to be selling into the daily pivot if it gets there. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'll see how we get there. If it gets there fast and pushes through, I'll stand aside. If we can get a reversal into that daily pivot, that's what I'm looking for this morning. The pound, to say, well, a bit better yesterday, but it did manage to push into a double top, a little bit stronger of the two, but it's still weak against the other majors. And as you can see, 4 hourlies here now, again sold off there, and we're below the daily pivot and haven't touched daily pivot. But this just looks like it may want to continue at this stage. It looks like it's just, well, there's certainly some support there at 32.25ish. Well, there has been. Whether that will just roll over, we'll see. But it does look very weak at the moment. The pound, dollar, yen regained its march, and as you can see, it also gained against the euro and the pound, and it's been gaining back here against the dollar. Remember, it's the dollar yen. Dollar's been losing its weight. We're consolidated here. It's really looks like, well, maybe might get a bit more of a pitch up in this consolidation. It might even change the trend at some stage, but it's been a long way, a long time down. We'll see how this sort of works out this morning, but again, I'm still really considering the shorts into any retracements, but we'll see how that plans. Aussie dollar, Aussie dollar, another one which is okay. It's not managed to really push on too much through. I thought it might have done a little bit better, but unlike the likes of the yen there, which has been continuing to move, the Aussie dollar's stuck a little bit here. Just it's performing quite well against its peers, but not as well at the moment, and certainly selling off a little bit here. But maybe quite a lot of this is relative, i.e. if you're looking at the pound Aussie, etc. So at the moment it is rolling over here, and at the moment I'd rather be on the selling side of this, but it might just be going to go from where it is now. Target wise, well, that daily S1 would be an obvious target normally, but it's not much mileage in that. If you can break through that level, well, it could be on for a little bit more of a swing short, but we'll see how that goes. Canadian dollar, it's a frustrating currency for me because I've been sitting there short on it and it's really not doing a lot. It's pitched up a little bit again. Yesterday it made a new low, hasn't got down to the sort of levels I was looking at 1300 at the moment, and well, it's just dancing where it is. So it's really, this week it spent most of its time in quite a tight old range, just not looking like it's going to go anywhere. So that might be the end of that trade for me very soon, because it's actually starting to look like it's putting in a low here to push on upwards, and with the other currencies all doing what they do, we may just see a bit of dollar strength coming through, and it will obviously affect this Canadian dollar. Okay, that's it for me on that front. Let's just have a quick look at S&Ps. S&Ps consolidated and really sold off there on the last hour yesterday. It's been range bound all week up until that point. Sold off, broken that range. All the good news with the vaccines washed out now, and we're sort of sitting there at the moment. This looks like it's possibly got some more downside as it's shaping up. That's that, and a quick pitch over to oil. Oil's been trying, and it's trying again this morning. Yesterday, sorry, I did say that they'd agreed a 3-month period. They haven't actually agreed any significant period, and we'll probably won't know until the next meeting, actually, OPEC meeting, what sort of period of production cuts they're going to keep for. But oil's doing okay out of it anyway at the moment. It's just ticking along. It's a bit of a mess. It's quite rangy between that sort of 42.5 and down to the sort of 40 mark, so it's about in a $2.50 range really at this stage. That is pretty much it for me. I wish you a great day, and I will speak to you in the morning. Bye for now.